Good morning and welcome to Unlocking Freedom in Nature and Art. So excited to be here today. And for some reason, it seems like I'm losing my voice at the moment. But today, our topic is the wake up call we all need. And I'm honored to welcome my friend, James MacNeil. He's a speaker, author, coach, and trainer so I'm excited just to share his story, hear his whole story, because I don't know your story, James.
Well, it's not for the squeamish or faint of heart.
I have found that most people that have gone through stuff are sometimes the most inspiring and motivating people ever. And if anybody saw my post from yesterday, that's me and James when we were in Scottsdale. And James just has this powerful energy that just brings joy to everyone into the room. So I don't know if that's a great way to explain it, but we had so much fun down there.
We
So
did. We absolutely did. I loved every moment of it. I'm really grateful that you continued the connection. It's one of the blessings that I've enjoyed, traveling and being on stages around the world. And sometimes the audiences are like 5,000 people. I've done that a few times. And I love it and I'm grateful for it and I feel a connection. And then it's over. And then I don't talk to the people. I feel like we started something. And it's challenging for all of us to keep all of those kinds of relationships going. But your patient persistence and kindness has really been an encouragement. And I'm thrilled that we're talking today. So thank you so much, Tammy.
well, thank you. It's my honor. Anyway, and so I've been trying to get James on here for what, 2.5 years?
I don't
He
remember
tells,
saying no for the record. I
no,
blew it.
you always said yes, 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 I will, but you always have so much going on.
Uh,
And
well,
I understand why, it's like people are seeking you for their stages or for their training and their coaching. So it's such an honor. And besides, I felt that connection too.
mhm.
There were so many leaders there that just had so many incredible stories.
Yep.
And I had the privilege and honor to be in the green room, basically, right?
Mm,
Be there to meet everybody. So that was amazing. And I met your staff down
mm.
there that was with you, and they were incredible too.
Yeah, yeah, we had a great time, and we were blessed with, when Les Brown, when we were doing, and we're still working on the a book with him. We, I mean, with the people who chose to be in a book with him, it's a big deal, right? Les Brown, and I remember the first time I saw him, I could barely breathe. In person, I thought I'd never thought I'd be in the same room as someone like Les Brown. And we were in Singapore. It was my first, no, Malaysia. It was my first overseas big event, and and I went, I had like attacked him backstage, and he's getting his microphone on, and I just said, "Hi, my name is James MacNeil. I'm a really big fan," and then I didn't know what else to say. It's all awkward. And then he's from Liberty City here in Florida, and I said, "I almost got mugged in Liberty City," and he looks at me like as if I was accusing him, and he says, "I'm sorry." But over time, as he called me and continues to call me his one and only guru son, um, to me, it's not familiarity as in less honored respect and excitement. It's just I'm able to manage the moments now. And, for all of the authors to be able to meet with him and get photographs and autographs, and that was a very special time in Scottsdale. I love Scottsdale so much. So, yes, thank you for being a part of that.
Oh, I was honored. I was so thankful for Kane and Alessia for setting
Yep.
that all up for us. So that was an honor just to meet. And when they asked me if I could go down, I was like, yeah, I want to meet different people.
Mm,
I love meeting new people all the time. And it's kind of what I've done my entire life. I have
mm,
met so many people, but my goal, this was what Kanan Leslie meant, was to take photos with everyone because
nice.
I have met a lot of famous people,
Hmm.
worked with them, and never took a photo.
Same.
And it's because I want them to feel so comfortable.
Yes.
I don't, because the biggest complaint that I've gotten from singers or movie stars or producers was they always felt like somebody was there, like idolizing them, worshiping them, and
Yeah.
just wanted their photograph. And I just always wanted to treat them like a human.
Yeah.
Like there's just a person, a special, and
Hmm.
but to me, we're all the same. Doesn't matter if you're a janitor or the king,
Hmm.
right? Everybody should be treated with kindness.
Yes. Amen. Amen. Yes, I feel the same way. And it's tricky, when I'm on stage, because when I'm off stage, I'm invisible. I just blend in. I don't, like walk around pounding my chest. I don't wear bling.
Right.
I don't do anything to say, look at me. So I'm able to travel the world and be invisible. People, they ignore me, forget me. And that's all great. When it comes to those moments when I'm overwhelmed with, very positive reactions, it's honoring and it's awkward because there's something unnatural about the idea of fame. And even though they're just flashes along my journey, it's always awkward because it's like I'm just a dude, And so I love it, and people are kind, and I always try and do the photos or whatever. But like I said, I appreciate you following up. So yes, you've asked my
It's
story, so I'm open to share
Yeah,
it.
I just want to say, I cannot imagine you being awkward around anyone. You're so
That's a beautiful that's a
you're
beautiful
so
compliment.
you're so full of energy, and I can't imagine anybody forgetting you at all
Uh,
because you have such a positive energy about you. So I
oh,
appreciate
thanks.
that. So yeah, let's where are you calling from today?
Yep.
And let's go back to your story of where you were raised and
Sure. So at the moment, I'm at my cousin's place in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, an extended vacation. Why? Because it's warmer here. I'll be heading back to Toronto soon, and you know, reports are minus 25, so I'm not looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm here in Fort Lauderdale, but home is Toronto, Canada, and I came from the wrong side of the tracks. My dad was a law enforcement professional, and I can't know the whys and wherefores of his journey, but he had struggles with substance abuse, alcohol, and others, as well as he had a violent temper. And there was something about me that provoked something about him. And so part of my father loved me like a perfect father and wanted the best for me like a perfect father. There was another part of him that hated me, and I'm not exaggerating when I use the term, and he wanted to kill me. And he almost succeeded on a number of occasions. And that's not who he really was. There was this weird thing. There was, I think, something about me triggered fears about himself or something. I don't know. But as a child, of course, living in a very chaotic, frightening environment, I had many things, triggering survival instinct and insecurities and all kinds of things that came. I couldn't speak in sentences until I was 9 years old. I couldn't read till I was 21. I have no college, no university. I have ADHD. I have dyslexia, OCD, complex PTSD, and a bunch of other things. So the odds of me making it were very, very low. I was a statistic waiting to happen. But by the grace of God, I didn't know how to survive at the age of 19 on my own, but there I was. Yeah, and I made it to Florida. I escaped to Florida just to survive the winter. I figured if I'm homeless in Florida, I can live. So I came down here for a while, and it was only by miraculous intervention that my life had a turning point. I probably would have been dead or in prison within 6 months of the moment that I had a spiritual awakening. And so I thought, okay. And I switched from being a completely hopeless desperado to, well, now I'm dialed into something very special. And now I want the whole world to, be saved and, have love and know the feeling that I have now. And so I became a little very incompetent evangelist and annoyed everybody. But I just wanted everyone to feel the love and the freedom that I was feeling. So I immediately went from desperately broke and someone saved me to everyone listen to me. I got something to say. It was a big, huge change. And then I was fortunate that people were telling me, you've got to learn how to be an adult because I'm 60, by the way, and I feel like I'm 24, but I don't hide the fact that I'm 60. I just think I'm not 60, but I know the facts.
I totally get that. So I'm 61.
No
So
way.
yes.
Well, whatever your diet and exercise routine, everyone needs to learn it. Good for you. Um, so yeah, I was blessed with people who said, well, if you listen to these audio cassettes, because I couldn't read at the time, and so I started listening to audio cassettes, and that's how I was introduced to Brian Tracy, Dennis Waitley, Zig Ziglar, Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen. I was introduced to Les Brown. Les Brown was the one that I was really hooked on. I would burn out the tapes, tape them back together, it would break, and I would keep playing them. And I didn't know what I was doing, but I was rewiring my brain. There's a Bible quote that says, it says, "Be no longer conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And I didn't know that my mind was being transformed by both the biblical stuff that I'd been introduced to. I was learning to read, and I was always going to Bible studies and so on, learning. And then on top of that, all of these, what I guess people call motivational speakers. And I didn't know that it was turning me into a communicator. I didn't know that. And then I was a janitor. And then, and I never thought I'd be anything but a janitor. My dream was to become a carpet cleaner. I thought that's the highest aspiration I could ever have.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and by the way, I nailed it. I became a great carpet cleaner.
That's awesome. Hey, we all need those carpet cleaners and
Amen.
janitors, right?
Yeah, my goal was to finish the carpet so beautifully that no one wanted to step on it, and I actually got that compliment. You did such a good job. Nobody wanted to step on the carpet. I was like, that's right, baby. But then just through circumstances, I ended up learning how to sell in retail, just in a retail place, and then I started breaking all the records, and then went to sales training. I didn't want to go. I was afraid of it. But I ended up taking over the class while trying to hide in the back because the teacher couldn't answer questions. And I had no idea that I might have the ability to speak or to be able to teach or train because I was the worst student in the world. But by the grace of God and circumstances, all of a sudden I found a place that I fit that is very respectable and, pays well and gets lots of positive vibes. So I couldn't be more grateful for the miraculous gifts and opportunities given to me because, it was like this or nothing. It's like if I didn't find this, I'd be, cleaning toilets maybe, which is fine, and I respect everyone for their thing. But this journey has been more fun for me. So that's in a
Oh,
quick summary. That's the story.
I can understand that. And what I have found and observed is a lot of times things that have held me back are because of what somebody said growing up,
Mm,
because my family story wasn't the greatest either.
mm,
In the back of your mind, there's those negative thoughts that
yes.
sometimes come across when you're trying to learn new things. It was when I think because I was married and I was pushing actually my daughters in a stroller and I got asked to model by an elite modeling company. It was in the mall, one of those typical stories, right? And I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, oh, do you want to do this? And I'm like, do you have any classes or anything that I can
Yeah.
just help build my self-esteem? So I did because my degree is actually in fashion,
Ah,
merchandising and design, but I took odd classes just to get myself out of my shell. I took acting classes
mm,
and I did the fashion to where I can do fashion shows. I don't have to be in them. I design them and work with the people.
yes, yes.
But I just found it fascinating. And I had to do those kind of things, push myself, even though in small groups, nobody ever knew that I was insecure.
Mm,
It's like me, I like the thought of going on stage.
mm-hmm,
It's like frightening.
mm-hmm.
I love talking to people in small groups. If I don't have to memorize and I can just sit and have a conversation like we are right now, it is so easy,
Mm. Yeah,
and it's just because
go
it's a
ahead.
different atmosphere.
Yeah.
I
Well, for
and I
me, I
realize
found
I hold myself back. It's nobody else.
yes. I think what you're saying is true for all of us. We all have, to say they may not have known that I felt insecure is funny because everyone else in the group could make the exact same statement. Everyone has their insecurities, everyone has their journey, everyone has their places of comfort and lack of comfort and so on. And so we're all just folks on this journey, and we might think everyone else has it all together, but that's just their marketing. That's not reality. And so I think it's really encouraging, just to talk about things like that. It's like no matter where you are, it's like, yeah, welcome to Earth. We're all, hopefully doing the best we can and being nice along the way and learning and sharing and helping. But we all have our stuff. I felt like telling you this. I modeled tuxedos. I was a
Did
tuxedo
you?
runway. Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Well, yeah. And I was always very shy. I did a TV commercial for leather, and they took it off the air within 24 hours. That went badly, I guess, but they paid me anyway. So yeah, I mean, just my frame, 6 foot tall, and I
Oh
was always
yeah.
around 165 to 180 pounds. And so when you put clothes on me, they looked better than they did not on me. You know, if they were on the rack,
Right.
it's like whatever, you put them on me, they look better. And I know that sounds arrogant, but it's the right frame, I guess, for fashion. So that put
Well,
me in that
actually,
playground.
I could see that. So, and people don't realize, well, and everybody always told me, if you're under 5'7", you can't model. Well, I'm 5'5", right?
Mm,
And I did runway more than anything. But my biggest fear was tripping. And that's because I was a kid growing up. I could trip over a little piece of
yeah.
sand probably or a pebble. And so when you're on the runway, my biggest fear before was like, oh God, please help me to not trip and fall on my face.
Mm, yes. And oddly enough, you know, you were saying about comfort with smaller groups. Smaller groups are the most frightening to me. So one-on-one was scary. Small groups were death, but large groups were easy as long as I was the speaker. So if you put me in a room of a group of people and I'm in the audience, I'm uncomfortable. You put me in a small room and I'm just one of the group. I'd rather be shot in the head. And so I had social phobias almost my entire journey. And I only learned to hug in the last 15 years. Like humans scared me to death most of my life. So for me, people say, well, then how could you be on stage? I mean, that's the most frightening. And I said, actually, no, it's the safest place in the world because when I have the microphone, I control where the focus is. You know what I mean? I'm in control of now we're
Right.
thinking about that, we're talking about that, it's this. And whatever vulnerability, it's the vulnerability I choose. Whereas in a small group, people can ask you about stuff you don't want to be asked about. But when you've got the microphone, no one gets that chance. You keep the focus where you want it. So the safest place for me was on stage in front of countless people. And it's just the way my brain wired it. I just felt safer there. It's odd. But put me in the audience, and I'm very uncomfortable talking to the person beside me. It's so strange. So yeah, we all have
That's
our
so
journey.
funny. I want to say hi to those who are watching. I see
Yeah.
Pam, Don, Sue, and I can't tell who everybody else is, but thank you so much for watching and being here. And if you have questions, I may be able to see them, so ask away. So, um, and as you know, this is awesome, James. That's so funny that how we're opposite on that way. And I, to be honest, I would never have known that about James because he was a big hugger and I'm a big hugger. So big, I don't know, there's that human connection. But at times, people feel more comfortable around other people. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
like you get that sense that, oh, okay, this person is safe. I'm the person that if I'm standing in line or at a grocery store, or I could just be standing there anywhere, and people will come up and tell me their life stories.
Yep.
So and I've always been that way. So
That's beautiful. It's a compliment. It's like you're this unconsciously people can spot you're one of them. One of those people that are a safe place to feel heard, understood, respected, and accepted. And that's the foundation of all great relationships. It's the foundation of great coaching or sales or facilitating of group events. So you obviously have that gift, and the world has announced it by those occasions when people were letting you know that you have that gift, and to be a guru, it's like I love to learn, I love to serve, and people seek my counsel, and I mean, it seems you have those three in great amounts. So yeah, that's one of the things that you want. I think everyone wants to find is where can I find myself professionally or avocationally to find my flow where it's easy and right and good and I'm good at it and people are happy when I'm doing it. You know, it's like that unfair giftedness and it's the kind of thing that's like, why does anyone else struggle with this? I just have a gift here. And so you do, and every viewer does. And I just encourage everyone to just keep playing until you just fall into unreasonable success. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I was made for this. You mean they're going to pay me to do this? It's like the athlete that says they pay me to play this game. I play this game and they send me money and they cheer. It's like, geez, all I'm doing is what I want to do. I love it. And so find that place where you have an unfair advantage, an uncanny ability, and you love it. And the world is a better place when you do it. That's a beautiful blessing to unlock that.
Well, thank you. So, yeah, and I see it. So, and as you see, behind me is my art.
That's
So, when you're
beautiful.
talking about do what you love,
Mm,
and that is one of the things I do. Actually, almost everything is I do what I love. Um, so, it's like I use art but I've used art and nature as pain therapy for
mm,
years. And for stress, anxiety. And I didn't even realize that even when I was younger, going out into the gardens, going on walks. And that is where I find myself or ask questions is when I'm working on my art or especially out on nature is when you go and you go on those walks and you just learn so much more even about yourself. It's like your mind clears. If you
yes.
don't know what path you need to be going on, go go on a nature path.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things. So I wrote a book that never got published. I published like the first 5 chapters in like a rough version, and it went through like 4 reprints because I kept running out of them. People kept buying it, and I'm like, it's not done yet. But it's called Pure Spiritual Intelligence, and from that we created multiple things, retreats, and so on. And one of the things we created is the 30-day Miracle Challenge, and it's been running for 4 years. Some people have been there every day for 4 years. And in the 30-day Miracle Challenge, one of the daily disciplines is take a slow, silent walk in nature. And the reason I suggested that is partially because of a lot of research, but also I just found that if I go for a walk in nature and I'm not all in my head and I'm not on my phone, something happens where it's like my soul points out to me that nature is not in a panic. Look at the trees, look at the plants, look at the animals. None of them are experiencing the kind of stress that you put yourself through all the time. And whatever they're doing has worked for billions of years. So you might want to get more in alignment with the rhythm of nature rather than to live in survival mode. Now, survival mode made sense when I was in survival, right? When life and death were real. But right now, there's no big scary person. There's no saber-toothed tiger. Um, and for me to live in that panic, if you look at Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that means I'm down in survival and I'm missing out on the aesthetic beauty of art and nature. And I've spent most of my time not allowing myself to reconnect to nature, to reconnect to art. I have magnificent artist friends in my world, and they want to take me to art shows. And I say, okay, but it's like another language to me. Someone says, read this Japanese lecture. And I'm like, I can't read Japanese. It's the same with art. I can't read art. I went to, oh, this is a confession. I was in Miami Art Show. It was a magnificent art show down in Miami, and I'm in Fort Lauderdale at the moment. Anyways, a friend who's an artist brought me down. And I told him, I said, I don't get art. I don't get it. And he says, "Oh, you'll get it. You get it. Come on." So we were there hours, going from one artist to another, one genre to another. Just all we were walking for hours, and we walked into this one place, and I said, "Oh, that's nice." And he says, "See, you love art." I said, "No, it's a picture of a beautiful woman. I love beautiful women." The fact that it's not a photograph is no different. It's a beautiful. So I kept saying, "I don't get it," but if you let me watch a sunrise or a sunset, I get it. Nature, I get.
You know what's so funny is because every once in a while I'll be looking for my art photos, right?
Mm,
And I'll like type in the word, please pull up the art photos.
mm.
And it will pull up sunsets. Like
Oh,
the beautiful photographs that I've taken of waterfalls and sunsets and different
yes,
things. Because even AI looks at God's creation as art.
yes. Amen.
Because it is beautiful. And if my art is inspired by nature.
I love it. Well, evidently behind you, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so I
I
sculpt and carve everything. And
oh
to
nice.
be honest, I don't go to many art shows.
No?
I don't. And some art I look at and I'm like, oh, where were you going with
Yeah.
this? Or I'm thinking, was this painted by a 3-year old?
Yeah.
And and when I used to do paintings, it was more, to be honest, just because I liked the nature. I
Hmm.
didn't have a story behind it. I didn't. I was like, okay, this is what happened. It's like one of my paintings. It was like we were driving down the road. I put my phone out the window and take a shot. Later,
Mm-hmm.
I created a painting from it because I loved
Mm.
the way the setting was.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but now when I create art pieces, there usually is a story, and especially if I do a commission piece for a client, because I go to their homes, look at their designs, what they like, their decor, and I have them tell me some of their nature stories, their
Mm.
favorite places they go. And I design every art piece then is designed for them to tell their story. So it brings back a memory.
Nice. You had
So,
asked me before we did this interview, maybe last week. You had asked me something about how art or nature had an impact on me, and I told you a story about a movie. Because at the moment I was in the middle of stuff and I couldn't think of a pure nature or art thing. I mean, movies are art. I understand that, but I have a better answer now, and it's sunrise. So at our spiritual retreats, we do them at a resort in Mexico, and every single morning we do what's called the spiritual sunrise. So we just gather on the beach. It's optional. It's not officially part of the structure, and most people show up at sunrise. And every single morning, somebody says, "This sunrise is perfect." Someone will say that almost every morning, if not every morning. And yet, 100% of the sunrises are different. They're unique. And that forced me to face a fundamental or philosophical question: what is perfection? Because in math, if the answer is seven, it's seven. It doesn't get better than seven, and anything other than seven isn't perfect. So in math, there's only one perfect answer. But in every other realm, perfection is not plasticized, because every sunrise is perfect and every sunrise is different, which means perfection isn't like math. Perfection is something else. And it really helped me to say, I remember I was dating a woman once and she said, "You don't have to be perfect for someone." I thought that was beautiful. I don't know if she was referring to herself or me, but anyway, it is a beautiful thing to shake up our idea of perfection and rigorous judgment on ourselves, on our lives, on our relationships. And so perfection comes in all kinds of shapes and sizes, even a proper, I'll just say, butt kicking in life. So you go through a difficult time. Who's to say that wasn't the perfect difficult time to create the transformation that you experience from it? So even like I used to say, symphonies have low notes.
right.
And so it's not like it has to always be euphoric mountaintop to be good, right, or perfect. That perfection is this beautiful mosaic of our journey, of our experience. And what would be unfortunate is desensitizing ourselves from the ups and the downs, the lefts and the rights. It's all part of this perfect journey. And that to me really affected me. That it was just the sunrise and everyone saying it's always perfect. And it's like it's always different. So I have to rethink my definition of perfect. That was probably the biggest impact that nature has hit me with.
I totally get it. So when I was working on a 22-foot wall for a client,
Wow.
and I was adding the trees, and I explained to him, I'm like, they have to be imperfect to be
Mm,
perfect. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, because no tree is exactly alike. So everything's slightly different. Like just like you said, the sunrise, sunsets, nothing is the same. I can never carve the same piece, even the piece behind, exactly the same.
yes.
It's whatever. Because to be honest, I some of my pieces are so big or they've been in such weird places. I sit there and I pray before each one.
Mm,
It's like, okay, God, give me direction, so I can visualize because it visualizes then in my mind and I create it. if that makes sense. But
Yes.
at the same time, I wanted people to realize, just like you said, it is so important, such a golden nugget about imperfection. Being imperfect is perfect
Mm-hmm.
because nobody is the same.
Yep.
We're not all the same size,
Mm-hmm.
but you look and you can look at your flower, like you said, nature,
Mm-hmm.
flowers, the trees, they don't sit there and compare themselves all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but yet they're perfect.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I do appreciate that. I used to talk about, Bob Proctor. I worked with Bob Proctor over 30 years ago and multiple times after that. I was actually in a room with him when he said, guys, you've got to see this. And it was just it was Bob Proctor, myself, and one other gentleman. And he showed us The Secret, the original DVD, before it was released. In fact, I saw a version that no one else saw because some edits were done after that. So I saw more raw content. But one of the things he taught was the law of compensation. And the law of compensation is you will be paid in direct relationship to, number one, the demand for what you do, number two, your ability to do it, and three, the difficulty in replacing you. And I found that very important because the difficulty in replacing you is where the magic is. So I used to do this shtick on stage, and people would laugh their butts off. I'd say, "Okay, so imagine I look exactly like Britney Spears, but somehow better," and everyone would laugh. And I said, "Okay, so let's start with I'm a woman, and make believe I'm a woman. I look like Britney Spears, but somehow better. I dance like Britney Spears, but somehow better. I sing like Britney Spears, but somehow better. So I'm a perfect replica of Britney Spears, but I exceed her on those three categories." And then I say, imagine a stadium where people have paid a lot of money and there's thousands of people and they're cheering Britney, Britney. The opening act is gone and there's a lull. And then the MC comes up and he says, "Hey everyone, I got some bad news and I've got some great news." So the bad news is Britney Spears is sick. She's not going to be here. But the good news is we have James. And he looks like her, but better. He dances like her, but better, and he sings like her, but better. So you are so lucky that she's not here, and he is. And then I turn to my audience and I say, "Do you think they want to kill the MC or do you think they're happy?" And of course, they want to kill the MC and me because they don't care if I look like her but better, dance like her but better, sing like her but better. It's her they want. And so it's not about the things we measure, it's the immeasurable authenticity that the connection is made with. We actually fall for the soul and we explain it with externals. Oh, it's because they're beautiful or they're talented or they did this or they did that. But the truth is, it's a soul to soul connection. And anyone who is able to connect soul to soul through their art, through their writings, it doesn't matter what you do. But if your soul can be made available through your authentic conveyance of whatever you do, that's world changing. It's not the colors you use, the paint you use. It's not did I say enough syllables in my sentence? The secret is my soul touched their soul. And that to me is what is a missing piece of the magic and the miracles in this journey. It's our souls that connect, and that's what changes things. And again, it goes back to the perfection thing, because in the Britney Spears silly story, it doesn't matter if I was better at everything. I'm not Britney. And in the same way, it's who you are more than how you are that makes all the difference.
Oh, it does. And it's like people don't even realize, I think a lot of times their words. How do you make somebody feel? Stop making it always about you,
Mm-hmm.
but how can you help somebody else? Ask questions, listen.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we are in our own world because we're going through some struggle or something. And that's
Sure.
where you meet up with somebody or talk to your cat, right?
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I've caught myself doing when I'm free from my egoic entrapment, thinking I'm whatever, I carry the weight of the world or something. I get this stuff in my head that takes me out of just my authentic, presence. But when I'm present, I seem to be able to say things to people that can blow their minds. In what I mean by that, it's not I'm special, but what I do is I seek to climb in and say something about them that is mind-bogglingly accurate after just a few moments of interaction. Just say, I perceive that you're this kind of a person, or, this is important to you, or are you really like this, or you care about that? People are like, who are you? Like it's some kind of mystical thing, but it's the authentic presence, and then communicating that in a way that a person feels heard, understood, respected, and accepted at a level that is uncommon. That just doesn't happen. And when people feel heard, when they feel seen, when they feel understood, accepted, respected, you're going to change the world. You just change the world when you can have that kind of moment. And when souls genuinely meet, neither leaves the way they came. We always are transforming each other in our genuine moments of connection. And art is one of the ways that people can do that. Long distance, far away. Someone is exposed to your art, and all of the authentic love and everything that you put in can jump out of that art and transform a life. And that is miraculous.
Thank you. So, James, my next one is what do you do now? So it's like, I want people to realize what you do, the superhuman movement.
Mm-hmm.
What is that about?
Well, it's a podcast that I'm still trying to figure out how to launch fully. I've been blessed with some insanely powerful interviews recently, but I'm new at podcasting. So I've been on stage. I've done writing, even though it's not something I consider a strength. I am technically a multiple book international best-selling author, both individually and in group books. And so writing I've done, audio I've done, stage I've done, but podcasting is new, and so I'm learning. But the idea behind superhuman movement is that I believe we as a species took a downturn since what you might call the Age of Enlightenment. The Age of Enlightenment, one would think, means we're now more enlightened, and the outcome of that, and it was right and good and perfect and necessary. But in the aftermath of the Age of Enlightenment and the anyways, there was some key things happening 1600s, 1700s. And what happened since then is we separated spirituality and science, let's say. And if you ask me, science is another religion, and I'm not against it, and I'm happy to explain if someone cared to hear it. But what we did is we said, now what's most important is the rational mind and what can be proven, what can be measurable. And there was like a disrespect or a dismissal of anything and everything spiritual. And because we're mind, body, and spirit, we basically, cut off a good part of what it means to be a human being. And I believe the evolutionary flow of humanity, which was really, quite a curve, actually moved into devolution, like moving away from evolving, because we simply ignored, dismissed, disrespected the spiritual dimensions of who we are. And this isn't a religious idea. It's we're the whole of who we are is more than what is measurable by science. And so as we moved away from that, it's like the fact that you can build a nuclear bomb doesn't mean you should. That kind of thing.
Right.
It's like we're not always asking the right questions. And our world right now, economics and politics, have systemic flaws that they're not holistic. They're not complete. So what I wanted to do with superhuman movement is to create a movement of people who are choosing to wake up and to heal up, and then to step up and make the world a better place, to heal us. And you look at all the divisions, and it's like, oh, I'm so exhausted. I go into social media, it's like, who am I supposed to hate now? And then if I say good morning, you're a racist, sexist,
Oh,
whatever. It's
I
like,
saw some of the posts on
oh
your stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel
yeah.
so sorry for you, James.
It's tricky, right? So I'm like, I have an idea. Don't hate each other for 5 minutes and see what happens. And so I really think that we're being tricked by whatever force is into division and distraction and depression. And we're drugged, derailed, demoralized. There's all these things. And I just thought, we're better than this. We are so much better than this. And so how do we begin to shine lights instead of put out lights, to be constructive instead of destructive, be united, not not a unity that comes from compliance and agreement, but a unity that transcends that and says we're humans first. The other stuff is stuff, and to say, how do we as a people reconnect to ourselves, our spiritual center, our core, our true self, rather than egoic? How do we reconnect with each other? How do we reconnect with the spiritual realm, however you define it? And so that's what this is. And then just out of the blue, I just started getting, and I didn't use any of my contacts. Like, I've shared the stage with super famous, powerful people. I didn't reach out to any of them, but I did 3 incredibly powerful podcast interviews in just a couple of days, and they just kind of fell on my lap. And so I just want to interview people and try and help everyone out there see that we don't have to hate each other, we don't have to fight each other, we don't have to attack the others, but to find that common ground, that common humanity, and say, can we start there? And so that's what the superhuman movement is about. And then on top of that, I want to help podcasters build their businesses. So that's what I'm
I
doing
love
now.
I love that because I think a lot of people don't realize we all come from different backgrounds,
Hmm.
right? And so I guess, what am I trying to say here? We look at have different perspectives.
Yes.
Until we walk in that person's shoes, we have no idea. We
Hmm.
might think we do, but we don't. It's like,
Hmm.
okay, this person got this perspective from this and this for this, but
Hmm.
it's like, get to know the person. Don't listen to the news. I
Oh,
don't even won't
goodness.
even
Yeah.
try the news because a lot of it is so. I experienced it in 96, I think it was, or 95. I had to do an interview for the police. I was working with for public relations. I was in charge of the Block Home program in the area, and they asked me to speak on the fact that they had just caught a serial rapist. I'm like, why me?
Hmm.
Right? But when the news came, interviewed me, right? Like it was supposed to be this
Yeah.
live broadcast. They put it on 2 hours later. The questions they asked had different answers. They had taken answers from
Mm.
one questions and had twisted.
Oh, it's so
And that was
heartbreaking.
before AI.
Yep.
And so when you see that, it's made me realize don't trust everything you see or hear.
Yeah,
And
for
realize
sure.
people are people. And I agree with you. It's like so many people, it's like they're told, oh, you have this, you have this, you have this anxiety problem, or you have this. And,
Hmm.
it's like, for me, it's like, let's just be simple here. Treat other people with kindness, listen, realize they might have a different story behind why they believe a certain way,
Sure, sure.
but go out in nature.
Yeah, breathe.
Just like,
Yeah, yeah, transcend it all so that you can look at it rationally and holistically rather than being sucked into us versus them and someone must be wrong for you to be right. And I love the old Zig Ziglar comment that, hey, look, nothing's all wrong. Even a stopped clock is right twice a day. And so, no matter
I
how
love that.
irrational someone's perspective, I would like to listen and respect them because I guarantee if we listen long enough, even the person who you find most possibly repulsive or irrational, they're going to say something that can change your life if you will just allow divine, if you will, to speak to you through them. And I didn't know I was conservative. I confess I am. For those who want to hate me now, feel
I
free.
am
But
too.
I
So.
yeah I didn't know I was. But when the pandemic happened, that's when I'm like, wait, something's fishy here. So like this is unnatural. This is so weird. Like why are they why are they putting chains on the parks? Are they thinking I'm going to kill the trees or the trees are going to kill me? And I'm just like, what's going on? And then I kind of went down the rabbit hole, if you will. And so I landed on more of a conservative perspective. But I would say that I'm a caring conservative and a logical liberal, which means I really care about people. I really care that everyone is safe and respected. I merely don't share the liberal perspective on how to achieve that. That I believe that if you take away freedoms, if you take away productive people's ability to be productive, I don't think that helps. So that's just my philosophy. It doesn't matter. But to me, it's like when a person has a liberal mindset, and let's say they're talking about a topic that I disagree on, if I listen long enough, I can find the genius even inside of a packaged insanity. And it's like, oh my gosh, you're right about that. Like I gotta submit to you on that part. So we can always benefit if we can get past the noise, meet the soul, and find the gold. Like it's always there. And that gets exciting when people start listening and respecting each other and communicating, not to shut down the communication. But people unfriend me and hate me, and I used to
Right.
respect you, and I'm like, okay, feel free.
I consider myself an independent because
Yeah,
because it's like I see good on both sides, like you said, and I have friends from both sides.
yeah, yeah,
But when I notice, don't when I see people or friends repeating somebody that they like, oh, this person said this, and
yeah,
they believe it, it's like, did you? My question, I just start asking questions.
yeah. And I
You
get caught.
really research that?
And I'm going to put myself in the position of the person you just referred to. So many times, my good, smart, loving, liberal friends catch me in the act of not doing my homework. I'll see something. And I said, "Did you hear about that guy?" They're like, Did you actually look into that?" I'm like, "No," and they catch me on it. But I wasn't bringing it up to say I'm right, you're wrong. I was bringing it up to hear their perspective because I hadn't looked into it. But I get caught on having not done my research. I was like, oh, I wasn't trying to win. I was trying to dialogue with someone I love. So there is the chance of us sharing stuff that's just wrong, just inflammatory. And sometimes we're being careless. Sometimes it's because I'm trying to teach someone a lesson. But I'm optimistic that we're better than this. And I believe that supernatural actions will happen, and we're just going to start remembering that we're actually good people, and we're all messed up too. But we fundamentally desire love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control, to be one with nature and to be connected with each other. Like that's the truth. The rest is noise. And I just believe in us that we're going to find that again en masse.
We will. So, it's kind of like I know people that they get mad at somebody, so then they go and post a negative thing on social
Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
And it's to attack that person
Yeah.
that they're mad at, but they don't realize it's actually attacking one of their close friends.
Mm,
It's like, so you gotta really be careful there because the
hmm.
words matter. They think, oh, it's just about me, but no, our words and actions affect everybody around us. And so if you
Yes.
can't say something inspiring or motivating, just post a photo of
Yeah.
of a sunset or a sunrise
Yes.
to encourage somebody, right?
Yes. 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 Absolutely. Um, it's silly, but I had this silly idea. I think it might have been my son and I that were sharing these funny AI generated Donald Trump dances and so on. Like it's like
Oh
here's
yeah.
Donald Trump dancing, and here he is dancing with other political figures and so on, and being very gangster and so on, and hip hop music. And I just thought that's the kind of thing that can help people just laugh and come back to humanity. It's like this isn't your side or their side. That's a funny video. And sometimes I think if we can just laugh at the same thing, that's a start. And so, yeah, I
That's a
definitely want to,
win.
yeah, I want to reclaim my sense of humor. I take things too seriously too often. And that's why I
So
really appreciated the honor being able to talk to you about art and nature because I need the reminder.
well, and time's going by so dang fast, but Pam said to say, just stop hating each other. She loved that, James.
Amen.
She said that was very beautiful that you said. And I just want to say hi to Katie, Angela, Cheryl, Ryan, Shannon, Chris, or KLS, and Sue, and whoever else is watching that.
I love it.
I saw a few there. So,
Beautiful. Well, thank you one and all for joining us, and I thank you, Tammy. I really do. I'm going to mess up a million ways. I've often said on stage, if I haven't offended you yet, just be patient. And then I say, it's not because I want to, it's because I'm human. And the likelihood of an individual speaking to hundreds or thousands of people and not to step on one single toe while being authentic and free flowing, it's just irrational. We're going to step on each other's toes. And so, I just want to have steel toe boots so I'm not offended when people do and I'm not crying about it. And I want to be the person who can take it. Someone says, James, you're a jerk. Maybe today's the day I need to listen instead of defend. Maybe I was a jerk. And I just think some humility would do us well. And the good news is we are better than this. And
Very
yeah.
true. And I look at it sometimes it's like, maybe I took that wrong because it was my attitude. Maybe
Yeah.
I was, not feeling good that day, or I just had a bad
Mm-hmm.
attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, okay, let's relook at this and think of it from their perspective,
Yes.
and sometimes we just have to pause,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I love it. You
So,
are a blessing and encouragement. Go ahead. Sorry.
but I appreciate having you
Oh,
here.
my pleasure.
So I would love to have you back on, of
I'd love
course.
it. I'd be
So,
honored.
and we'll come up with another subject. But I encourage each and everybody here to go out and walk in nature, be
Mm,
positive. Check James, his superhuman movement out, and I'll share links for your podcasts and stuff.
thank you.
But yeah, I listened to one of them last week, and I was like, "Oh, that's incredible!" So,
Oh,
or maybe it
thank
was the
you.
week before, but yeah, I loved it. So thank you for sharing. I mean, God has you doing it for a reason. So I really, really appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I will say this, I and everyone else will mess up, and I'm going to do podcasts wrong. I'm going to fail to ask the right question. I'm going to say things that aren't perfect. But I can say, as Jim Rohn taught, I assure you, I am sincerely seeking to serve with love and truth, to speak truth in love. Sincerity is not a test of accuracy, but it is a fact of the heart. And so, if in this interview, if I said something or if Tammy said something that rubbed you the wrong way, know this: we didn't want to. And the best thing you can do for us is let us know. Then we all learn together. We all grow together. And so I love correction because I want to get things right. And I think if we all have a humble, strong, confident spirit, we're all going to be blessed by it. So thank you so much, Tammy. And thank you, one and all.
I love that. Thank you. Yeah, I always tell people it's like, if you know my heart, I'm never there to hurt somebody.
Hmm.
It's there to encourage and inspire instead.
Amen and amen.
So thanks everyone for being here today. We appreciate each and every one of you and hope you have a wonderful week, and be sure to follow. So, and I do have a YouTube link as well. So, and I'll be posting this on our YouTube channel and sharing it with you. So, thanks everyone. Have a great week.